Be blessed to all. Listen, me have a brief disclaimer here. I was born in Trinidad, grew up in Tobago, proud of it. So I'm the quintessential Trinbagonian, okay? By afforded to be born in this little island, I was given an education unlike no other. So the foundation is there, the pillars are there. That's why I am able to converse without ad-lib, I should say, because the skills are there. My oratory skills are impeccable. General knowledge, critical thinking, impeccable, which is sorely lacking in the educational system in the United States. I look at my sons and I shake my head because of the knowledge they have. I don't like arithmetic. I have a phobia to numbers, but when faced with doing it, I can produce. So let's continue down the line. I am seeing certain things in the United States that is making my spider senses tingle. Is making the hairs on my back poke through my garment. Let's talk about the First Amendment. A lot of people in this country know they got freedoms. They don't understand why, who, when, and what they are. The First Amendment deals with critical things that we need in a society. Freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom to redress your government, freedom of assembly. Now, I am seeing these freedoms eroded, systematically in the United States. Now, let me tell you folks, the reason why these freedoms are number one, because you don't want number two, literally. Okay? Number two, the Second Amendment, will turn America into number two, literally. Because the Second Amendment is there if the first fails. If our government becomes tyrannical, then number two will turn America into number two. Okay? So I am looking about this Israel-Hamas, so-called Hamas fight. And I'm looking about the censorship of the coverage that's been delivered in that country. So, Israel has a way of murdering journalists and bombing journalistic buildings and saying that Hamas is hiding there. This is all it is. Hamas, 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 So I'm looking, yesterday, I think is the DOJ issued a cryptic email to most of the major networks telling them if they cover what's going on, the death and destruction in Gaza, they're aiding Hamas. Now, I am wondering what clown would do something like this, knowing that they're infringing on the First Amendment. Now, they didn't particularly tell them that they should stop, but this is coming from the DOJ, which has prosecutorial rights to pursue certain things that they think is against the law. Now, it doesn't matter what the First Amendment says. It matters what the DOJ says. Since when? Look at the colleges. Okay? These kids have the right, they have the freedom to redress grievances. You cannot turn that into the fact that if they support the Palestinian people, they support Hamas. This is insidious behavior, folks. It's the same thing with what the conservative and evangelicals are doing. They are saying this nation is a Christian nation. Says who? How could it be a Christian nation when you have the right to religious freedom? Religious freedom means religious freedom. If you believe in the devil, that's your freedom to do so. You're Buddhist, you're Hindu. That's the beauty of this nation. You should not be able to be looking over your shoulder if you're Jewish or Muslim or whatever, and sensing reprisal because of your religious belief. But we allow these clowns to get away with this nonsense. And under the First Amendment is what gives them the right to believe in Jesus. But if you believe in Buddha, or you believe in Vishnu or Ganesh, you are somewhat a reprobate. That is not what the foundation of this nation is about. So I'm looking at this coverage, okay? The reason why we have this kind of discourse in this country is because the truth has not been told. So before October 7th, do you guys know how many Palestinians in the West Bank were killed by settlers and the IDF? No, you don't know that because it's not been advertised, it's not been put on the air, and the Palestinians are roaches. So every time I look at these new networks, which I want to puke sometimes, okay? So every time they get on the air, they parrot this nonsense about, well, would you repudiate Hamas? And would you say this about Hamas? And Hamas. You know? And most of these people are not there to talk about Hamas. They just disgusted just about anybody about what Hamas did. But they're there to talk about the plight of the Palestinian people. Okay? But these guys are taught to parrot this nonsense. Okay? And if you don't, your job would be in jeopardy. You see what happened to Magni Hassan? He had the Goebbels of the Israel of the IDF. He had him stuttering over a simple question. He made him look bad. Guess what? Hassan was removed. This is insidious behavior. And I'm trying to tell you folks that this is Pandora's box to that one world religion that is coming and that one world religion that is coming. Okay? So it would be easy for the Antichrist to take over because of what's happening in the United States. Our civil liberties have been eroded and nobody thinks twice about it. Just recently, a judge in Minnesota says, as a citizen who was deprived of their voting rights, I cannot file a lawsuit against. Is the federal government have to do that? Imagine that. Imagine in 2023, we are talking about voting rights. This is the problem that we face today, folks, and you guys are sleepwalking. Banning of books. This is what the Nazis started out with. They started burning books to reprise the so-called Jewish community. Next thing you know, it's the night of broken glass. Next thing you know, bodies replace the books in the fire. We are going down the road of fascism, folks. Whether you know it or not, we are going down to the road of fascism. The only truth that came out of Donald Trump's mouth is that this system is rigged and is corrupt. He's part of the corruption, so he should know. The mere fact that these Jewish organizations, AIPAC and whatever, will pledge $100 million to remove mostly Democratic minority Congress people from office because they have an opposing view or they call for a ceasefire in Israel. This is insidious behavior. That means our politicians have been bought and sold like slaves. This type of behavior need not to be in our political discourse. This is when they call it dark money. I don't like that term. The white money should be completely removed from our political system. And the federal government should be giving money to people who are potentially like to run for office. Give them a certain amount of money. And there, you could teach them at ground level how to budget. This be a learning curve for them. So if they go spend the money in one department only or one area only, they don't get nothing else. So you teach them before they get to Congress, if they do win, how to budget. But no, we got this influx of money, and the influx of money is peddling influence, which in essence, we are not a democratic republic anymore because our representation has been influenced by money. It's been influenced by drawing maps. It's been influenced by depriving representation to certain people. We are going down a really nasty... America is going to be faltering because of this. Look at what BRICS is doing. You guys are not paying attention, but your pensions, like me, is involved. Because of what we're doing in the world, we don't have balanced scales. The rest of the world is saying to hell with you. I just read that Russia was able to get around sanctions. Okay? They're using different currencies. And this is how the United States is going to be suffering because of the hubris and imbalanced scales that's throughout the world. How in God's name you could tell me that you would see what Israel is doing to the Palestinian people and sit up there and talk about Israel has the right to defend himself? So Biden feeling the pressure, okay, because nobody reports about the killings in the West Bank by settlers and the IDF. He's now talking about, okay, the perpetrators will have their visas revoked because of it. Boo-hoo-hoo. Ladies and gentlemen, because of imbalanced scales, because of different civil liberties and stuff that's been eroded, we are living on a precipice. You hear me? Turkey has already issued a warning to Israel. He says anybody who is of the Hamas, whatever is the military wing or the political wing, you touch any of these people in my country, you have consequences to pay. Whether you believe it or not, Israel still go around and assassinate people who are not sympathetic to what they're doing in the West Bank and Gaza, okay? They still kill people around the world. So Turkey's issuing this. You have to look at Turkey. Turkey's a linchpin in all of this. Erdogan is sick to his stomach about what he's seeing. Erdogan calls Israel a terrorist state. Imagine that. He's actually calling Hamas freedom fighters. This is how sick he is. And he's saying after that fighting is done, he wants Gaza rebuilt. He wants a two-state solution, and he volunteered to be the peacekeeper. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to pay attention to Turkey. Turkey is a member of NATO. Turkey is a key member of NATO. It's the crossroads between the East and the West. Okay? Turkey is who they're using to keep Russia at bay. I think eventually Turkey is going to leave NATO. And I think Turkey is going to be one of the kings of the East. I'm telling you. All because of this one-sided killing in Gaza. We are upsetting the whole world because of one nation. And you guys don't understand. Israel is not that land. Israel is the people. You listen to the Orthodox Jews and they will tell you that. They will tell you Zionism isn't, they are Jews. Okay? That's a Zionist mentality there. It's not a Jewish mentality. You guys are misconstruing the facts. That's why you could side with depravity. How could I sit up there and says, okay, Hamas kills whatever, 1,200 people, and that's okay? No, it's not okay. Not okay. And I cannot sit up there and says what Israel is doing is okay. It's not complicated like they tell you. The complication comes from the Zionist movement. It is even in the Knesset where they harbor these racial, genocidal type ideas. It's not only Hamas alone that's doing that. Report the truth. They're saying that they want Gaza razed to the ground. They want these people erased. But yet, you would let the news report talking about repudiating Hamas. You got to repudiate these racist, genocidal maniacs that serve on Netanyahu's cabinet. You got to do the same. Your scales are imbalanced. And this is the reason why the Antichrist will be able to take over. Because he's going to come in and say, okay, I'm going to give you peace. And the book says, by peace he will destroy wonderfully. So, continue surrendering your civil liberties. The Antichrist, this is laying the groundwork for the Antichrist, folks, whether you believe it or not. The burning of the books. He's going to say, no. What you believe, burn that book. I am God. The book tell you that. I am God. You don't want to? Death. You guys have all the zeal, like the book says, not according to knowledge, man. You are setting up the doors for the Antichrist to take over. And you see Russia and Iran, you think that you're going to be able to deplete them? No. The book says Russia and Iran has work to do. So with this new BRICS currency, 150 nations already in that thing. So after Russia has been depleted with this Ukrainian war, you think you're going to win. The West would think they won. No, Russia would be able to rebuild using the BRICS currency, bypassing the sanctions of the dollar. Iran will be doing the same. It will rebuild bypassing U.S. sanctions. And you guys are not intellectually curious to find out what's going on in the world and what's happening. You sit up there and taking sides in this Israel-Palestinian fight. I should say Palestinian is not Hamas anymore, because maybe up to 16,000 Palestinians have lost their lives. 50% of the north has been flattened. They send the people south, and now they are killing them in the south. And yet we remain with the same evil type statement. Israel has the right to defend itself. We have the evangelicals. You see how quiet they are? The same ones who believe in the sanctity of life. They will go out there and says Israel has the right to defend itself, while over 8,000 children has perished. And in this country, they want to deny a woman's right to do whatever she wants with her body. Well, coming in the future, the Antichrist is going to take care of all of that for the ones who remain here. If I'm not dead, well, This is the plight. Is no rapture. You're going to have to go through it. The book says the Antichrist is going to pursue the saints and overcome them, kill them. So if the saints have been raptured off, who is he killing? You guys are fools. No critical thinking skills. The pillars of knowledge, the foundation of knowledge has been eroded in this country. Most of the highly skilled teachers are so pissed off that they're leaving the state of Florida in droves, the college professors and all of these people who are attacking knowledge. There's a reason for that. The Antichrist is going to show up and instill his own type of knowledge. And this is a prelude to what's going to happen in the future.